Hearts 0, Kilmarnock 1.
And that's just to stay quiet here.
No, you carry on. I just want to apologise for Killie fans for putting you last. It's not your fault, it's Hearts' fault.
That's fair.
And Hearts,
Totally fair.
Hearts are properly tested. So I've realised logic that if you have good kits, you're good at football. And Hearts are really testing that. Really testing that logic of if you have a good kit. All three of Hearts' kits are beautiful. They are rubbish. Hearts are everything that Killie are everything that Hearts are not at the moment. We were watching a chunk of the game beforehand and watching the highlights and things like that. The Killie back line are so comfortable in the ball, so confident in the ball. Del Fabro's
spraying long diagonals.
Del Fabro's spraying like 60-yard diags to his fullback Stephen O'Donnell appearing in the right wing. Everything watching that game, Del Fabro and Finlay do not waste a ball. Whether it's a short pass into midfield and then taking it back.
To the three Hearts centre backs, but they just pass it along the fucking defensive line.
It's like that. There's that sort of what's it like a midfield drill where you tie your midfielders together. It's essentially what the Hearts backline are doing. But the Killie defenders, Hammerlinen and O'Donnell are getting right up the wings in order to provide that width. With one of Killie's 400 holding midfielders dropping in to cover that space as well and giving them protection. But at all times, Finlay's moving the ball, Del Fabro's moving the ball, they're moving it directly to people. Whether it's a long ball, a short ball, sideways, it always has a movement forward. It's always keeping the ball. Never waste a pass. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, you have, as you say, Dickamona, Smith and Berra, where teams now know press on Dickamona and Smith, make them give it the ball to Berra because he'll just lump it fucking anywhere. And
turn and give it back to the keeper.
I do feel sympathy for Hearts fans because it must be miserable. It must be absolutely miserable.
Yeah, although I'm a bit numb to it at the moment. That seemed to be the reports from Tynecastle at the weekend seem to be that there's not as much booing going on as there was after, say, the Motherwell game. It's just people have got to the point where they're just apathetic rather than angry. And I think to add to what you've said, basically, Kilmarnock look very well drilled in showing for each other and creating triangles and getting the ball up the pitch. If there's one difference or the main difference I can see between Clark's team last season and this team is that he wants to have the fullbacks pushed forward a lot more. And like you say, I think it's usually Dicker who's the guy who's dropping in, and they're compensating for that. Hearts played a back three against Hibs and looked better after switching to a back four and went on to win the game. And then last week we went back to a back three and we played two fullbacks in that back three and we played wingers at wing back and we drew 0-0 with St Mirren, who can't score a goal, and who are one of the few teams that are below us. And then we persist with this back three against Kilmarnock, against a lone striker. We know that Kilmarnock are going to play a lone striker. They've done it.
They've only got one fit.
They've only got one, and they've done it all season so far. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. But when you watch the game, the three of them just stay in a line and none of them step out. I mean, even when you play against a two-striker system and you play a back three, you usually see one of the back three stepping into midfield with the ball, playing a 1-2 with a midfielder or something like that. There was none of that whatsoever. And then when you've got Whelan dropping back as well, it's just, there was no wonder there was nobody to pass forward to because they were all behind the fucking ball when we had it.
And again, in Scotland over the past few years, you've seen great examples of teams utilising a back three properly. Motherwell in the midst of the Thunderdome had Keeper who would step out, or Aldred could step out.
Even Hanlon's done it for Hibs in the past.
Hanlon would do it for Hibs
Benedictus
in the past.
does it for Wraith now, for fuck's sake.
Or alternatively as well, you see Livy last year as well, who played with a back three, and they shifted it left and right in order to create overloads on either side of the pitch. And Hearts just have looked at all these things and gone, no, what we will do is do a back three which is completely static and in a line at all times.
And Jake Mulroney is not a wing back because he's terrible defensively. He's barely even a winger, and we play him at wing back. And like I pointed out in the group chat as well the other day, this isn't the first time that he's been caught out not defending the back post. It's happened quite a number of times. I think this is just the first time it's ended in a goal. And even if you go all the way back to what I think was his debut against Wraith and Methil in the League Cup, Wraith do take the lead in that game, but there's a point earlier in the game where they should have taken the lead. I can't remember who it is, but somebody comes in the back post and is unmarked because Mulroney's just not defending it properly. So why we think Mulroney is going to is good for that position, I have no idea. And the thing is, you've got a right back playing in central defence, so you've got a decent right back. I mean, Smith would walk into most of the teams in this division, play right and be comfortable at right back. We've got Hickey, who's shown that he's pretty good at left back. Yet we're playing one of the left back over on the right, and we're playing the right back in the centre of defence. It's absolutely mad. And then we've got two strikers on the bench. One, I agree, can't play every game, and he's played quite a lot of football recently with his age. Fair enough. But then Keana's on the bench, and instead you play two midfielders up front. And Levine says that Keana's untried and untested at this level. Well, so was Machino, so was Hickey, and Hickey's been doing okay. It's just galling. It's galling. And I was talking about being numb and apathetic, but I've just contradicted myself there.
I think the difficulty from the, obviously from the outside looking in, is that Levine keeps saying that he knows how to fix it, and it's not just that, but in knowing how to fix it, you'd have to show that either the thing that worked the week before, you're going to replicate that, or the thing that didn't work the week before, you're going to fix that. And it seems to be a new tweak to things, personnel, the way that the people are being utilised, switching around the defence every single time, which seems like desperation rather than a calculated plan for this. And it's getting slightly more, it may be more apathetic on the terraces, but the last few weeks it's been, the post match at the weekend was we had the majority of the play and the best chances. The game against Motherwell didn't have to be that good to score. Against Celtic, I'm more frustrated than we've ever been because I thought we should have got something from the game and we restricted them. Against Aberdeen, we deserved all 3 points. These are all games that they lost, and they were lost in large part down to naivety.
Mm-hmm. Best chances in the Kilmarnock game, by the way, he's talking about are fell to defenders and the defensive midfielder set pieces. So it's not like we're creating things from open play and missing gilt-edged chances. You're talking about Di Camona and nosebleed territory at the back post.
He should still score that.
I'm not trying to defend them. They should score the goals, definitely. And Whelan puts one over the bar in the first half that he should put on target. But that's what I'm saying. He's talking about best chances, but it's not as if these are falling to attackers or anything. Anyway, we've kind of already gone over time. We should wrap it up soon, and we should apologise again to Kilmarnock fans and promise that
give them some very brief love.
Please do.
Give them some very brief love.
I
was going to say that if had Alessio not had the European start, everyone would be thinking, actually, this guy's done exactly what he was brought in to do, because he has, as a tactician, as a sort of thinking man's manager, and all the things that he was billed as. You can start to see that coming through.
All that working on shape is paying off.
Exactly. I thought Miller looked great. Burke was a menace. Chris Burke has now scored against 10 of the 12 current top flight. He's got 19 top flight goals in total against 15 different teams. So he only needs a goal, I think. I can't remember who the other two... There's two teams he needs to score against to have the full set.
You're listening to Sports Sound with Jonathan Sutherland tonight with Michael Stewart, Derek Ferguson and Billy Dodds as well. Rangers fans, how happy are you? Celtic fans, how concerned are you? Celtic's 3-point lead gone. Rangers 2 points in front in the Ladbrokes Premiership. Text us your views 80295 and tweet at BBC Sports Sound. And remember, you can listen to the Sports Sound podcast on the BBC Sounds app. Just search for the Scottish Football Podcast.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Radio Scotland.
Another match at Tynecastle, another dismal day for Hearts. Kilmarnock 1-0 winners on Saturday, and it's now over 6 months since Craig Levine's side won a league match at home. The Hearts boss did not hold back at the final whistle.
I said to players after the game, a load of players coming back from injury very soon, and I don't want anybody to be knocking on my door and asking why they're not playing, because currently, I wouldn't say they're not trying, but they need to do more. Dig in harder, and that's a recurrent theme. They're all waiting on somebody doing something to pull the game round. We need bigger characters in the team. It's not the fact we've had injuries, it's the fact that we need to do more when we get opportunities to play. Some of the young ones had opportunities. There's other guys who've come into the team who've had opportunities. And to stay in the team, they need to do more. They need to do more for the supporters. They need to do more for themselves to enable them to stay in the team when big players come back. It's a brilliant stadium, fantastic place to play, but you've got to have a pair of balls to play here. It's a test for every player. And for me, you have to be able to handle it. This has been going on too long. And I'm getting to the point where I'm done with being nice and done with protecting players if they're not playing well. And I think you'll see in the weeks to come that some players will be left at the team.
Obviously, another frustrating defeat for the Hearts fans watching. What would you say to them who will undoubtedly still have question marks about yourself?
Of course, we need to do more to get the supporters on our side. They're not going to be on our side if we go through the motions. The next match things are different. We start to get players back, big characters who've got the strength of character to deal with situations if they aren't going well.
And no question in your mind that you've got the leadership values required to get Hearts out of at the position they are at this moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Craig Levein bleeping furious at full time in the 1-0 defeat
You were
to
very
Kilmarnock.
calm and composed in that, I've got to say. Him swearing just didn't get to you whatsoever, eh?
I'll be honest, Billy, I didn't even notice that he swore.
You're a
until
regular
after.
swearer yourself.
You
just
must
don't
be used to
realise.
that language then.
Must be. It was a bit strange, yes, absolutely. Well, Derek Ferguson, former Hearts player, how will the current Hearts players react to the words of Craig Levein?
Listen, you'd hope you get the right reaction, but it seems as if the manager's given a vote of no confidence to quite a number of them.
Absolutely.
But as a player, you know, your job is to take instructions from the manager, go out, try and do that to the best of your ability, and give everything you've got.
That must
for the
anger you
cause.
to hear, though, if you're one of those players, presumably.
Of course, you don't like. No, who likes criticism, and especially when it's been aimed at you that you have not been given 100%. So you're hoping that's going to get a reaction from the players. I think that's why the managers come out and obviously used a few expletives. So he's looking for a reaction, but you know, it's I don't know. We talk about losing the dressing room, don't you? And you just start to wonder, you know, is it? And I said that a few weeks ago. I thought it might have been time, you know, for somebody else just to come in, a new voice, new face, new ideas.
A new manager at Hearts.
But I think Craig still, obviously does, he still believes in himself. I mean, I had 3 great years with Craig and I got on really well with him. I've got a lot of time for Craig, but sometimes when it's not quite happening and sometimes you're at a club that obviously has got a lot of love for, a lot of feeling for, you don't quite see the bigger picture. So
you think it's time up for Craig Levein? Is that what you're saying?
well, sometimes you need change, you know, for the players, because who's the most important people at a football club? Listen, it's the players. When they take to that part, you've got to get the best out of those players, because if you don't get results.
And you don't feel like he is at this moment, obviously.
Well, that was quite. Well, it's obviously they're not getting.
I mean, what you said.
I was just going to say, you know,
Okay.
Derek makes a good point there in terms of, you know, Craig Levein still thinks that he's obviously capable.
Yeah.
And that's the crux of the matter. That's the problem. You have a guy who is ultimately the one that makes the decision about his own future. You know, that's just unprecedented. That you have a run which is, as I said last night, the worst. You have to go back to 1974 to find a worse start to a season for Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
This has been going on longer than just this season. No wins in 6 months at home. Since the last October, almost a full calendar, almost a full 12 months since then, Hearts are sitting, you know, bottom of the table. So this is longer than, you know, just a short period of time. But you have a manager who ultimately is the one that decides whether it's his time or not. And that's just that's not healthy to have somebody that wields so much power. And, you know, talking about how there's a load of players coming back from injury. Well, there's a bigger question there. What's going on with injuries at Hearts?
Do you think that'll ever change, Michael? Do you think Anne Budge at some point, I'm not saying soon, but in the next month or so, will say, no, it's time for me to make the decision?
No, I don't. Because she's backed herself into a corner, you know, only a couple of weeks ago with a statement which was staggering, yet unsurprising in the same time, which is in itself an achievement, that, you know, they're backing the manager to the hilt. And, you know, I think that's where, you know, Jonathan and I were at the game on Saturday, and I think you now see a huge degree of apathy amongst the support, because they almost feel like, what can they do? You know, they're not happy with the situation. They want change, but it's as if the board are just not listening. There's an echo chamber within Hearts.
I was going to say, Mike, I mean, do you think, the well-documented animosity between yourself and Craig Levein sometimes lessens the impact of your criticism in the minds of some Hearts fans?
Probably, but I think now over the last sort of few months, I think there's a lot of people have recognised that what I've tried to say all along is I've been open and honest about what my thoughts were about Craig Levein personally. But I get it that so many people they hear that and instantly they think, well, whatever you say is not to be trusted. But what I've said all along is being honest about that. But this is a professional assessment. My professional opinion of Craig Levein is that he talks about players having it's his words, the balls to play at Tynecastle. You have to have the balls to be a manager at Tynecastle as well. To set a team up at home without any strikers shows that this is a guy who is so risk averse. His judgment of risk is so out of kilter with what others normal managers would be. He is so reliant on trying to destruct and stop things and not create. That's how you end up in a situation where you play 3 centre backs against 1 striker, Kilmarnock. Their problem at the moment is scoring goals, Kilmarnock. They are very difficult to break down. I think 6 and 7 clean sheets or 7 and 8 clean sheets. So you think to yourself, we've got to get right after them, make sure that they're on the back foot and try to break them down. That's going to be the most difficult part of this game. You don't sit with 3 men at the back against nobody for most of the first half and invite Kilmarnock to find a rhythm to come on to you. That's poor managerial tactics prior to the game.
What do you make of Michael's comments that Craig Levein's a risk-averse manager?
He's certainly got a position that a few managers would envy. Where
the director of football role you're talking about.
Yeah, dual, which is good if you can get it, because you have a longevity, haven't you, in your professional
If he
career.
wasn't director of football, do you think he'd still be manager at Hearts?
I think probably with the run he's on, well, I know with myself being in the game and how I lost my job, it wasn't that long a run, so usually you don't get as long as what Craig's been given so far. The one thing I'd say about him, I know he's a good coach. Going back to short-termism, see, Saturday I think he's at his wit's end with him, and I think he's now gambling because he's had a pop at them, he's had the outburst. Do the players respect him? I would probably say yes. They look up to him. You see them coming out in the papers and they all back him. But I think
when have you ever seen?
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying, Michael. We know it's happening. We know in football that's what happens. And some players will have, well, but that's not right, because Kit Broadfoot the other week there comes out and has a go at
Angela.
He
left.
Yeah, well, but still,
Yeah,
it's the way they felt
left
about
though,
him.
Billy.
Yeah, but it's the way they felt about him. And there has been players in the past. There's not got one in my head, but who have a pop at their managers.
We just won.
But what I'm saying though, just one more. The third bit is that I think he's really gambling now, because I think those players in that dressing room have strong characters at Hearts, or are strong characters. I don't think they are.
Dodgy,
so
I think
this could be.
I think the frustration
final,
is
the
what
final nail in
Michael
the
was
coffin.
saying when you read the team sheet out on Saturday. I was there for 3 years. I know what the fans are like. They expect you to be on the front foot, get at teams, press them high up the park, bit of physicality about you, fitness about you. That was when I was at Hearts, and get at teams. And I think that's maybe the frustration when you're not playing with a striker. So I think I kind of get that, and the fans will look at that as well.
But there's an apathy, Michael. You said that, and then the way they've been playing, you've said for weeks that they're scared to take the ball. Some of them, that tells me their mentality. That's what I'm saying.
But
see when you have a go at them, when you've
and the
not
style
got
of
them
play as well. You could. And I know, Mike. Look, he's going to go off in one or second or two. But I get that as well, because they get sucked into a way of playing with big Ick Piezo up top. It was back to front. Try to rectify that a little bit when Washington came into the side. They played a little bit of better stuff. But certainly for me at home, you've got to give the fans something.
Derek,
you've got to shout about it.
We've played at Tynecastle as home players, right? And when things are no great, it can be intimidating, right? It wasn't like that on Saturday. There wasn't an atmosphere, and this is what I'm saying about it. It's now to a stage where fans have almost given up. They're you're talking about, and Craig Levein said the players have got to have balls to play at Tynecastle. It wasn't even like that on Saturday. You know, it wasn't a case of like a real toxic atmosphere, that there was real pressure on the players. It was very flat. And, you know, Craig Leveing's talking about there's a load of players soon coming back from injury. Who?
Well, Michael,
Well,
that surprises me, because that was the one thing that, even as a Hearts player, as an opposition, going to Tynecastle,
Yeah. It was
you
intimidating.
feared that.
No, it's true
Of
enough. I
course,
mean, it was a sort of a
But
resigned
sorry,
atmosphere on Saturday.
But Jonathan, I'm just talking about players that are soon to come back from injury.
Uh-huh.
When you look through the injured players, Washington's not coming back soon.
No.
Suter's not coming back soon. He's just had an operation. Halkett's not coming back soon. I mean, who's...
He's talking about Stephen Naismith, Peter Haring, Jamie Walker and Uche Ikpeazu back for the Rangers match.
Right. Well, you're talking about coming back. He decided to rest. And this is another thing, right? You know, Anne Budge, who I've been critical of lately, because she talks about...
There were boos for her at half-time, apparently.
There was, which I think is...
A few boos.
It was, again, I think it was a bit apathetic,
Uh-huh.
right? Anne Budge has done an unbelievably good job. But for me, she is now tarnishing that with just sticking with the status quo. And when I say that Craig Levein has complete control of the club, it's because there is nobody in the board who's going to question him. And Anne Budge, this is Anne Budge, she did a big interview at the start of the season. And she says, I see him on a one-to-one basis and I'll question things. Are you serious? Is this really what we're doing? But while I question it, he's always able to explain the bigger picture. It's about who's been training best. Maybe somebody was going through something that means he wasn't playing in the right manner. It's the bigger things that the supporters don't know. There are reasons why he plays who he plays in each game. So let me take you to what Craig Levein said after the game, because I think this is quite important, where
You're not going to swear, are you?
as a board, I believe they are bewitched by what Craig Levein is telling them. Now, he came out after the game to talk about why he didn't play with a striker. He said Uche had a tight hamstring on Thursday. He's played 3 games in a week for the first time, so I don't know how long. So he decided on the Friday that he wasn't going to play Uche. If he's got a tight hamstring, why would you not maybe put him on the bench as an option to perhaps throw on? So it left him with Stevie McLean or Aidan Keena.
Keena, yeah.
So you're at home, as I explained, against Kilmarnock. Now, if you're Stevie McLean, he said he's played 3 games in a week. He's not played 3 games in a week. He played against Aberdeen. He didn't play against Hibs. He played against Aberdeen, and then he played against St Mirren, which was 7 days before. So he played 2 games the week before. And then he's got an international break coming up after this game. So if Stevie McLean's your only option because you've decided that you're going to rest Uche, when you could say to yourself, why not perhaps chance Uche or put him on the bench with the international break coming up after it? Instead, he goes with Machino, an attacking midfielder, and Sean Clary's his 2 attacking players. So what I'm saying is, if he's telling the board these types of things as to, that's why I didn't play Ikpeazu, and this is why Stephen McLean didn't play. Well, one, Stephen McLean is nonsense because he didn't play 3 games in a week. And Uche, well, the reason you're giving about the international breaks coming up so he can rest, why don't you play him and then he can rest? And also, this other thing about Aidan Keena, he said he's untried and untested at this level. How is he ever going to be tried or tested if you don't have another option and you still don't put him in? This is a fundamental issue. The board do not have anybody to counter what he's clearly telling them. And I would say that the proof is in the pudding, that his opinion, his judgment isn't working. They're sitting 2 points off bottom.
We have to move on to Scotland very soon, but Billy Dodds, a lot of... some Hearts fans, or some people will say Michael's criticism of Craig Levein and everything at Hearts is too harsh. What's your take on it? Or is he spot on?
I've said right all along that he will need results very soon. I'm a wee bit different to Michael. I think, and I hope he gets them, but I think circumstances at that club will change sooner than probably what Michael thinks. I think Anne Budge will
Michael's take on things?
No, not whole take on it. Just the question I asked him about, do you think Anne Budge will start taking decisions into her own hands? I think that might happen, but it's, we've said Craig knows he needs results. If he doesn't get them, I think that's when she'll act, but I hope he does get them.